We'll go ahead and have we took roll call, and I believe everybody signed in. Let's stand and say the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Is that you, John?
Yes.
A motion to approve the consent agenda was made by Thompson and seconded by Chittenden. Thompson?
Yes.
Schminty?
Yes.
Chittenden?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes. Okay, before we move into open discussion, I got a couple of statements I'd like to make. The first one is I'd like to send out compliments to Andy's Tree Service for donating his time and his services and his equipment to clear some trees on the overhanging youth soccer field. He did that all on his own time and out of his own pocket, so I appreciate that. Secondly, I'd like to thank all these citizens for this last winter with the snowstorms that we had for cooperating with our snow emergencies and getting their vehicles out the street. It helped Luke out. I know we had some issues with our alleyways, and we'll continue to work on that to improve that situation. We had a staff meeting last Monday. This will be my last statement, and we decided that we're going to be reactive towards our city ordinances instead of proactive. We've tried to do this in the past. What this means that we won't go out and try to enforce any ordinances. We really didn't do that last year, even though some people think we did. But what we mean by this is we'll be reactive. So if somebody complains about one of our favorite homeowners with vacant homes about his grass being too tall, then we will not only talk to him about it, but we will have to go town-wide because we're not going to pick out favorites. So just keep that in mind. So with that said, we'll go ahead with the public things. Kyle, we'll have 3 minutes.
During the public library board meeting on March 4th, my husband, Mayor Mike Kelly, was publicly, unjustly, and falsely accused of being bullyish and threatening by the library board director Lori Van Ackerman and Lori Greenwald. These accusations occurred on the 28th of February, and while witness Lori Greenwald was present. Ms. Greenwald provided an email to the board with which a board member read aloud with the full endorsement of the library board and Van Ackerman. The email included, quote, Mayor Mike Kelly was standing over Lori, who was seated. Greenwald said of Mike, this is not the library board or the city council coming after you, this is me coming after you, and I have the power to shut down the library. And he made those statements at least twice. His body language was bullyish and threatening. No one should have to put up with such behavior. It's unacceptable and unprofessional and should not be tolerated, end of quote. Mike asked who his accuser was. Neither of the board or Van Ackerman would disclose. While the accusations were being spoken, Mayor Kelly asked the board to play the video recording of this alleged behavior in order to support or repudiate the allegations. He stated that if he had an overpowering presence, I would like to see that. I don't think I was disrespectful to you in any manner. I'm not coming after you. I think you're doing a wonderful job. If I said I'm coming after you, I'm sorry. That was not my intent. If you were offended, I apologize. However, he was denied by the board and Van Ackerman of his request to show the video recording not once, but on 3 occasions during this public meeting. I myself spoke with Library Board President Hapke twice requesting to see the recording of Mike's alleged behavior. Hapke discussed it with Van Ackerman, and I was denied access to the video recording, even if watching it alongside President Hapke. Hapke admitted to me that the board did not watch the video prior to the meeting to verify the allegations, and stated I should have watched the video. Everything was blown way out of proportion. I feel really bad for the way it happened. Lori Greenwald has a tendency to exaggerate. Lynn also stated, quote, Van Ackerman told me that when Mike came in to tell her about her status, he was firm but very nice. He wasn't threatening in any way, end of quote. With the new library policy, it seems, and it appears in my opinion, that Van Ackerman, the library board, and Greenwald intentionally set up this meeting to publicly smear Mayor Kelly, which is unacceptable and unprofessional behavior that should not be tolerated. Due to this new policy, now the only way to discover the truth for Mayor Kelly and to clear his name is to obtain a warrant by filing legal charges against the library board, Van Ackerman, and Greenwald, and sue for damages. The only other alternative is for the library board, Van Ackerman, and Greenwald to publicly retract the accusations and offer a formal written apology to Mayor Kelly. Mayor Kelly deserves a public apology from the entire library board and Director Van Ackerman for their behavior. Thank you for your time.
Okay, Lori?
Hi, my name is Lori Van Akkeren. I have been the director of the UTAN Public Library since September of 2016. Tonight, there will be a vote as to whether to change my status to a full-time employee so that I may continue to receive benefits, or to discontinue or prorate my benefits and hours. A couple weeks ago, Mayor Kelly came into the library to let me know some of my benefits were being taken away and others were going to be prorated because I was not considered full-time in the city's system. If the mayor would have come into the library and said, Lori, you're not going to believe what I found in this paperwork. I'm showing that you are part-time. Even though you've been working full-time and getting benefits for 3 years, I'm still showing that you are part-time, so we need to get this changed so you're not going to lose your benefits. Let's talk to the library board, let's talk to the city board, let's just get this taken care of. But that's not what happened. If it were handled that way, I would have felt like a valued employee, and this whole thing would have not gotten so out of hand. I've also been receiving texts and calls, and people have been stopping by the library, hearing rumors that the library is going to close. I know the mayor said we might just need to close the library a few times, so I would like to squash the rumors right now. And you can't answer me, I don't think, can you? Do you have any intention of closing the library?
I do not, no.
Okay, so no more rumors, library's not closing. After the vote on my current employee status, though, I would like to be able to ask some questions if I may.
Okay. So when would you like to ask this question?
After the vote,
Or during that time?
yes.
Mary Jo?
Hi, I'm Mary Jo Robinson. I've been asked to speak on behalf of the library board. We would like to ask the city to have the library director's status changed from permanent part-time to full-time. We were under the impression that that had been done over 3 years ago when she was given benefits and was working full-time hours. The only thing that would have to be changed is her status, since she is receiving benefits currently and is working full-time hours. It won't cost the city any additional money, just keep her where she's at for benefits and stuff, just change her status to full-time. Thank you.
Okay, Leslie Anderson.
This is in the library, is that okay?
Yeah, that's an open discussion, so go ahead.
Well, I've been trying for maybe 8 or 10 years to get a sign on my street. The pole is there, but there is no street sign. And I'll just ask again, can I get a street sign?
What sign is that?
Cypress Circle.
Cypress Circle, is that the actual street sign itself?
There's a pole, but there is no sign.
But you want the actual street sign, street name? Is that,
Preferably,
okay,
my
I just want to clarify that because I don't know which sign is missing.
Luke is in the process of ordering that, Leslie. No, he was really gonna order street signs today. So they were getting quotes for him, so.
Brandy.
I'm not lying, they were getting quotes for him. He even talked to them and was getting quotes for him. He just said it's on his
That's a
list.
little bit much today.
No, it really is. I'm not making it up, is it?
No, I've got a sheet of paper, I got 20 street signs I want to order today.
Well, if it was anybody but her. I believe.
Okay, I think the next one is, who did I just talk?
Leslie.
Leslie, okay, Lori is the next one. I'm not sure the last one.
Lori Grinbalds.
It very well could be. I can't read, I'm sorry. So, go ahead.
You know, right now I'm processing, so I really don't have anything to say to you with the board.
Next one. Is that Teresa? So,
Is it Tara?
Tara, maybe?
Maybe, okay.
Okay.
She was the last
You-
one.
Yeah.
Last one.
No, it's not the last one. We got a couple after that. We'll get the one before Tara.
Who all starts with T?
TH.
I just, that you want to speak.
Well, you signed in, but you don't want to speak?
Yes, I do want to speak. I just wasn't sure when. My name is Teresa Larson, and it's probably not just this occasion, but I truly believe that you have a mayor that's very moralistic, ethical, good at his job, and is very kind-hearted and soft-spoken. And I have a hard time reading the Facebooks that come over, and people are either lying right out front about certain parts, and it's like it's like a bullying, and it has to stop. We're adults here, and we watch our children's social media, and for bullying, and I just see it in this little town. And I've lived in little towns before, and that's why I moved to a big town, but moved back. But this has got to stop. This is a great guy. He went in, he found discrepancies, he addressed them appropriately, and then was because he made a change, everyone has to jump on top of him. And I think the city should be happy that he has saved us tax dollars by catching errors made by previous administrations. And you need to know the whole story.
Okay, Tara, now you.
That being said, there's probably information I'm not privy to, but I'm here as a library patron, and would just like to speak to my experience with the library. It's well documented that public libraries have a positive impact on the communities that they serve. Our library in particular is a safe and welcoming environment for our children. Each month, the library serves approximately 550 patrons, which might not quite rival the Rooster, but it's a pretty good amount of traffic in a small town. I feel like Lori provides exceptional service. In my experience, she's done a phenomenal job. There are almost 300 libraries in the state of Nebraska, and last year, our UTN library was one of 17 Nebraska libraries to receive an American Star Libraries Award. So that puts in the top 6% of libraries in Nebraska. Lori has accomplished this through hard work. She's put in a lot of effort to expand our library programs, from children's crafts to adult crafts, children's book clubs, adult book clubs, toddler time, Lego club, creating escape rooms, holiday activities, knitting and crochet club, Dungeons and Dragons club, movie days, and that doesn't even begin to cover all the stuff she does for the summer reading program for our kids in the summer. My kids and I have come to the library for events, and it's been standing room only because she provides such great programming for our kids. Lori has also made connections with the school and the preschoolers. I've had preschoolers in my home the last 2 school years, and they come to the library the night before, and then the next day take a field trip to the library. And I think that's the sense of community we want to have from a city building, a city employee. As summer approaches, and I guess you're not planning to shut down the library, but as kids are going to lose access to their school libraries, if anything, we should be thinking about increasing the hours at the library, not cutting back. Finally, I don't really make it a point to keep track of the revolving door of city employees, but Lori has been here for 8 years, and I don't know if any of the other city positions have been filled by 1 or 2 or 3 people. And, you know, it's been a lot more than one over the course of the last 8 years. So just, she has grown the library. I feel like she takes a lot of pride in the work she does at the library. And so I would just encourage us to be faithful to her in the same way that she has been loyal to our community. Thanks.
Thanks, Sarah. Justin?
I'm just here in support of Lori, for her status to be changed. I think she puts a lot of time in there. And I appreciate that you just mentioned everything that she's done, because that saves me a lot of time. But I can tell just by when I get to watch my kids, you know, read books that they've gotten from the library, watch the movies, and when they enjoy a place as much, if not more, than sitting in front of a video game or sitting in front of a laptop screen or a telephone screen, that deserves to be recognized. And I just ask City Council to take all that kind of stuff into consideration, because all of us parents do enjoy the fact that our kids love our library. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, we'll address a lot of these issues when we come up to that portion of the meeting. So, moving on, we have no presentation of guests, we have no ordinance or public hearings, no resolution, so we'll move on to the other actions. The first one would be to appoint, in case none of you have met Bob, this is Bob Oliva. He is our new city administrator. I think we got a good hire here with Bob, so I'm hoping Bob won't make a liar out of me in the future. So we need a motion to appoint Bob as our city administrator.
Make a motion to approve Bob Oliva as our city administrator.
Second.
A motion to appoint Bob Oliva as the new city administrator was made by Thompson and seconded by Sheminti,
Yes.
Chittenden,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
All right, the second is renewal of the Keno license. Brandy or Bob, do you have anything
Yeah,
to say about that?
the Keno license is up for renewal, and we just need a motion and second. Russ has already approved it and signed off on it, so now it's just for the city to decide if they want to go forward with it.
Motion to renew the Keno license.
I'll second.
A motion to renew the Keno license was made by Sheminti and seconded by Chittenden,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Sheminti.
Yes.
Okay, now we're at the point where everybody's here for, I'm assuming. Let's skip that one, we'll come back to that one, let's go to the next two. Appointment of Alicia Archer to the library board.
We have to do the resignation of Elizabeth Bullington first.
Oh, I'm sorry. We need to accept the resignation of Elizabeth Bullington from the library board.
Make a motion to approve Elizabeth Bollington's resignation from the library board.
Second that.
A motion to accept the resignation of Elizabeth Bullington from the library board was made by Chittenden and seconded by Peterson. Thompson,
Yes.
Sheminti,
Yes.
Chittenden,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Okay, now we'll move on to the appointment of Alicia Archer to the library board. Need a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'll make that motion.
Second
A motion to appoint Alicia Archer to the library board was made by Thompson and seconded by Peterson. Sheminti,
Yes.
Chittenden,
Yes.
Peterson,
that. Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and do the replacement of the Sterling Green on Cushing Cockpit also. Bob, you want to speak to that, please?
Yeah, when I first got here, the project that's going past the library, it's First and Poplar.
First Street and Poplar Street.
I noticed the culvert just right by the fire station that goes under the street is an older corrugated metal pipe, and we're going to be putting concrete pavement over that section, and then over the apartments is going to have concrete for the parking lot. So that culvert runs all the way over to the drainage clear across there, and it's going to be the ownership and the maintenance for the city. So it was my recommendation to the board that we try to get that put in before all the concrete gets placed over it. The life cycle of corrugated metal pipe is around 15 to 25 years, and you're looking at 50 plus years out of concrete pavement. So it just makes sense to put a concrete pipe under there so they will have the same life cycle. So you aren't in 15, 20 years ripping your street up in the parking lot to replace it. We were able to get it in front of the bid letting, which is Thursday here at 10 a.m. for the street project. And we got a competitive bid from Thompson Construction. And that bid to dig out the old existing 24 corrugated metal pipe and to replace with reinforced concrete pipe is for $19,556. After doing a little bit of research, that's a very fair price, and they were the only ones to respond.
I mean, it makes sense to do it now, right? But at the same time, it's frustrating, like we should have, I don't know, J.O. or somebody would have got that before, so good catch.
They actually told me it was concrete, so I just was wanting to see where it was, and it's like, this is corrugated.
And I just want to say one thing, Thompson's name was brought up. This has no affiliation with Thompson and Son. This is a completely, no relation to them at all. This is a company out of Fremont, so.
Bob, is the replacement the same size pipe?
Yes.
24.
And that meets all of the specs of the project, like it's gonna be sufficient to reach go bigger?
Yeah, actually, concrete pipe flows faster than corrugated pipe.
So that'd be an improvement, yeah, because I know there's been a ton of talk about the drainage of that project.
We're gonna do
And there is talk that the CRA will pick up the bill for this too. It's not written in stone, just to make sure, but there's a possibility that the CRA will pay for this.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the replacement of the storm drain on First and Poplar.
it. Second.
A motion to, are you accepting the bid? Just to make sure.
Better stated.
Okay.
Motion to approve the Thompson Construction bid to replace the storm drain on First and Poplar.
A motion to accept the bid from Thompson Construction in the amount of $19,556 was made by Sheminti and seconded by Chittenden. Chittenden?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Sheminti?
Yes.
Okay, the other action item, the last action item is appointment of Lori Van Akron to full-time employment. So that is open for discussion.
How many hours do you work now, week, Lori?
Well, right now, because we don't have another person, it's close to 40, but
Okay.
usually it's at least 30.
Okay.
It's always been at least 30.
Bob spoke to that and he went back and through the files. What were the hours there, Bob? What did you come up with?
We found records for 2021, there was a program switch in 2022. So those records we haven't been able to locate. 2022 we found, but going back to 2021, an average of around 33, 34 hours, and that's including using holidays, or PTO and sick leave.
If you use just hours worked, which is what the
Right.
handbook states, what is that?
It's right around 29.
So are we setting an hour, like you have to work 30 hours a week, is that what we're doing here? To
Right now,
decide
the
what
current-
full-time, or are we just
Currently
leaving?
in the handbook, there is no distinction between the permanent part-time, which is what Lori's classification is now. Let me give you a little history of what I found out. And with the help of Lori, she brought a letter into the library board meeting and presented that, and that letter said that when Cole was the administrator, that if she came over and worked as an assistant administrator between the hours that she put in the library and the hours that she put in at the city office, and that would give her full-time hours. And I believe that is when her benefits changed. However, that was a job offer, and as soon as she relinquished her job as administrator, it should have fallen back to permanent part-time, because she was no longer employed as a city administrator. I'm not sure how long she was a city administrator. I'm assuming it's the time between when Michelle was hired and when the previous one called forward. No.
City clerk, right?
City clerk.
It was admin assistant, is what I think what the position was.
Yeah. And the city clerk, treasurer, and a few different positions. So as far as, that's the history with that as to why she thought she was still full-time. We have three classes of employees. We have a full-time employee, one who in regular course of his or her employment works at least 30 hours per week. Then we have part-time employee, one whose regular employment calls for a varied work schedule requiring less than 30 hours per week. Part-time employees are further designated by the following classes: permanent part-time appointed by City Council, permanent part-time appointed by the Library Board, unappointed part-time, and then we have seasonal. And the reason I brought this to Lori is it was my understanding that it was just hours worked and not hours. So when it says hours worked, that doesn't mean hours worked plus you get to take anything that you earned and add it to those hours, because those aren't worked hours, those are earned hours. So this is where I'm telling you where my logic comes from.
Is that broken down in there anywhere, or is that just your own assertion? Is that legitimately broken down that hours would only encapsulate hours clocked in, punched in, working?
I can tell you in the state of Nebraska, for their state employees, it is.
Okay, but that state employee, have you made any differentiation in our city?
We have just that, like I said, she was appointed a permanent part-time employee.
But the city maintained paying her those benefits for years, correct?
And we've been paying for them for the last 4 years for her, and I'm not sure, Tim is also a permanent part-time employee,
So
and his hours have also been corrected.
I think the public comment was earlier,
Yeah.
so.
But it was an assertion of opinion rather than any fact.
Well, we're not taking public comment.
We're not
right
taking
now.
public comment right now.
So in the employee handbook, and the things that I have corrected, one of them is life insurance, and that has not been completely corrected yet. She's still on the books for life insurance. And that is actually for full-time people only, not permanent part-time. Now, the way it reads for permanent part-time is the retirement contribution, I didn't change either, because that doesn't differentiate between permanent part-time and full-time. Paid time off, the city offers paid leave to cover any vacation and personal leave. All full-time employees and city council appointed permanent part-time employees of the city shall be eligible for paid leave time off as follows. Any unused leave will carry over from year to year, but total leave time that can accrue may not exceed 1.5 times the amount of leave time an employee can accrue. There's another paragraph, but the main paragraph I want to get to, appointed permanent part-time employees' benefits will be averaged according to time worked per pay period. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It does not.
Okay.
Thank you. That does not.
I think what that is saying is no matter how we end up changing this, modifying it, leaving it, whatever, is to define that in there. Hours worked means this, or earned hours, or whatever, because not everybody is familiar with that. All the now was the same nomenclature for it, so probably needs to be addressed and
cleared up.
So the other thing that I went to Lori with, and I also went to Tim with, was the holiday pay. And the holiday pay reads, the very last paragraph again, reads full-time employees will receive 8 hours holiday pay. City council appointed permanent part-time employees will receive prorated holiday pay based on the average hours worked per week. So, reading that, in my interpretation, and we'll go to the council now, I'm assuming, otherwise they can agree with me and we can keep it the way it is. that is how I came up with my decision to inform both Lori and Tim of these changes, because I've done research for the books behind Alicia back there are the minutes for past several years. I researched the permanent part-time. I went back, clear back to 2014. And if you go back to 2014, that's about the time that Tim was hired. And our previous police officer was full-time, and so he received a salary, but it showed where Tim became permanent part-time, and it showed some of the hours there. It did not point out, I mean, I could probably go back further than that and research exactly where the permanent part-time came into and that. This was not a rush decision for me. I've done research on it. I've gone through, like I said, I've gone through the minutes. I've talked to prior or previous city council members. They have told me when they set up the permanent part-time position, it was not ever meant to receive full benefits. So it was not to receive the life insurance. It was not to receive, currently we paid $6,000 a year for medical reimbursement account. That was never intended to be 100% for permanent part-time. It was supposed to be prorated. This is, and I mean, we're going back to before 2014. So that is the history that I've found. And that's what I based my decision on. Since it was in the handbook, the only thing that I, in my opinion, corrected is what is in the handbook. I did not correct the $6,000 medical reimbursement. So that's my history of my research.
When you were researching, because I don't know when that permanent part-time came in, I think
I'm not sure when it came in yet either. I would have to go back before 2014.
Did you find anything though that said like, this is how we're defining, like this is how you qualify for permanent part-time? Because right now it's full-time, and I'm just trying to understand for me too. It's full-time, it's part-time, and then we have right now I think 2 employees that are permanent part-time. And so what's the distinction that makes them permanent, because they still fall in the same bucket of hours as a part-time person, that makes them that designation eligible for some
what makes them an eligible permanent part-time employee is that they need to be appointed by the council.
So it's not based on hours worked?
Once it is, in a sense, because it states in the handbook that permanent part-time is below 30 hours, less than 30 hours.
So 30 hours or more would be considered full-time?
Could be, yes. Go ahead.
I want to say one thing. I appreciate the fact that Mike found this. I'm not going to speak on how things went about. I'm not going to speak on what happened at the library because I wasn't there and I don't know. Lori, I appreciate all that you do for the library. My kids love going down there. Mike, I appreciate the fact that you found this, and now I think it's our opportunity to make it right. But I feel like once we make one change, it's just going to be, we're going to be looking into a whole bunch of different stuff. So we just need to be thoughtful on how we go about it, like the verbiage in there that Aaron was, I mean, I don't know that, right? So, I mean, those are the things that we need to clear up on this. But, again, I'm not going to speak on how it was handled, but I do appreciate the fact that it's been brought up.
So there's 3 things for me to unpack, right? The first is the personnel discussion, right? Obviously, there's been a few things said here tonight and previously in the library meeting that aren't sitting very well with very many people, right? So that's the first thing that needs to be addressed. I feel like that's best done by meeting with the employees privately and have those discussions so they can have their opportunity to fully vet out what happened. I think there's a lot of things that were said that I take very seriously. I'm sure others on the council do as well. So that's the first thing to me. Second thing is the handbook. I think we can all agree based on what we've heard here today, there is some ambiguity in the handbook based on both the interpretation of it and how it's been applied and practiced for the past few years. So the handbook is not very clear. I'll admit I have not read the handbook front to back. I'm not sure anybody who has but it is something that needs to be revisited to clean up, right? To echo John's statement, I do appreciate Mike looking through that and finding an error in the way that benefits have been applied, and then acting on that. But again, it comes back down to we're dealing with two employees who have been receiving benefits for a number of years, and it's up to council to make that decision on how we're going to approach that going forward. A couple questions I have, Lori. So with you moving to full-time, would that allow the library to be open for more hours, or would it still be the same?
It would be
Okay.
exactly the same.
And in turn, I haven't been in the library in a long time, but in terms of the schedule, can you speak to like your hours that you're open, you try to generally be open, and in terms of like how you prioritize when you're open and not open?
Yeah, we have 40 hours a week when we're open, and we kind of make it mornings, afternoons, evenings, just because everybody has different work schedules. So we try and make everybody happy. We're open 3 hours on Saturday mornings. So, Monday and Tuesday during the day, Wednesdays during the day, and then we take a break and have it at night. Thursday, same thing. Friday afternoon. We're kind of all over the place just because we try and get everybody's schedules.
Okay. And the last thing I'll say, and then I'll be quiet for a bit, is I think throughout all of this, I think there's an opportunity for the city and the library board to work closer together. There's a number of opportunities for us to maybe provide a little bit of guidance on things like meetings, budgeting, things like that. So we'd love to work closer with the library board, and just try and streamline things and get a little bit more transparency into what's going on so that we don't have a boil over like this. I think this is something that can easily talk through. It'll be prevented in the future.
Which you basically said everything I need to say, other than it is appreciated, Lori, what you do, but my question would be is, if you're full-time, are you willing to take more hours?
Well, I think that's what we have a problem with, is the discrepancy between full-time and working hours. Because right now the handbook states over 30 hours is full-time, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if a person works 31 hours a week, they're considered full-time, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so they do that for 1 whole year. Then the next year, they get PTO and sick time. So they will not be working 31 hours a week physically there because they're gonna be taking time off. So do they fall back to part-time, or are they still?
The way the handbook reads, it says works at least 30 hours. It does not say works 30 hours plus
So-
paid time out. It says
So then
works.
So then that second year, that person would be a part-time person.
No, you're still a
Right.
full-time person, but
No.
you're only receiving.
And this is something we
Yes,
do need to
that's what we need.
discuss,
A
because
little bit of discussion.
I'm a full-time person, but when I take a week break, a week vacation this summer, I come back, I'm not part-time now because I didn't hit my 40 hours.
Full-time.
What did I say? I was part-time? Okay. I'm not part-time. I don't go down to part-time because I didn't work the full week the week before. So I do think we do need clarification around that. I think one of you two brought this up. I think like anything, it's kind of like this open, kind of a can of worms, right? So we do our best every year when we're going through the employee handbook and, trying to maybe enhance benefits or whatever we're doing when we're looking at that. But now, going over it with a fine-tooth comb, you're finding, okay, well, this says eligible employees. Well, who's eligible employees? And, well, this says full-time, and then it says prorated for this one, but it doesn't say prorated, like on the HRA or something. And so, my thought is, and I guess I hadn't really paid attention to the whole 30 hours, which has become a very big deal now. And to me, me being in the working world, 25, 30 years, full-time's always been 40 hours. And so that would be something that I would maybe want to revisit to say, okay, full-time is 40 hours. Your normal week is 40 hours. If you're sick here, or you take a half day, or you take a patient, it's still on average, you're always putting in 40. Permanent part-time, if that goes to that appointed, I look at permanent part-time, I didn't know it was the appointed, so when I was trying to think out, okay, why did we have this distinction? I'm like, okay, this is somebody that has expertise in their area due to needs of the business as a city. We may not need them full-time, but they're gonna receive something for benefits because it's more than just even though they're lumped in that part-time.
Joanna, how would that work if you're 40 hours and then the whole year, say, because you work 40 hours. Okay, but you have PTO and you have sick time. So if
I don't have any sick time, I do have PTO.
So you wouldn't be physically working 40 hours.
So I'm not, that's a different thing. I'm not talking, I don't know what that means. I'm not used to that.
But I'm using that as an example, 30, 40, whatever. You know, it's the same thing.
So what,
It
needs to be cleaned up, and I think what I'm saying is, if you're going to put, if whoever's in the library position or in the police position is gonna put in 30 hours a week, if we say, yep, that's permanent, everything below 40 is you're part-time. You're not working full-time, you're working part-time, but if it's an appointed designation, I'm very comfortable with saying you have prorated benefits, because to me.
That's fair.
Yes, to me, that's fair, and so if you're working 3/4 of what a full-time employee is, maybe you're entitled to then up to that 3/4 of that benefit. You know, if you're.
Or the average hours or whatever, that's fair.
That's what permanent part-time employment gets you here.
Yes.
But it doesn't, when you read through there, some of the stuff, and I don't know, this might be a legal thing, like short-term and long-term disability. I don't know if we have control over that, or if that's something the state says, or an insurance company, no, sorry, if they're not there. I don't know who makes that distinction on that, but like the HRA. Okay, well, if it's 6,000, well, if you're putting in 3/4 of that, you get 3/4 of that 6,000, or however we would do that. You know, if it's the life insurance and we say, you know, yeah, you can have it, but we're gonna take out $10, or we're gonna take out $5 out of your paycheck because it's $20 a month and you're getting 3/4 of it. I'm more comfortable, I mean, we have 2 positions like that now. You know, Tim, if you're doing 20 hours, then like that would be half of, you know, it's prorated of what you're doing to the full-time.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I look at it, because I'm struggling with the 30 and then just, and I also think both of your positions, like you have odd hours, right? And so that's where I do like more coverage, because to have a part-time, instead of just saying, we're gonna open 40 hours, now to be full-time, Lori has to work those 40 hours. Well, then when she does take her earned time off, or she's sick, well, now just the library's closed instead of that part-time person being able to go and fill in.
Is there part-time help for the library right now?
I have a couple substitutes.
Okay.
She has taken applications and she have 4 applicants, but
we're putting on hold right now.
We're putting it on hold right now.
Find out what's going on here.
Okay, that was my next question.
Yeah.
I've never heard of, like, if you have paid time off, that shouldn't go towards a deduction of your hours worked, right? I mean, I think that's kind of just a nitpicky way to go about it. Like, that's not, I don't think that's the thing.
Well,
In my opinion. So we need to clean that up, but I would say. Are we done?
No,
Okay, cool.
my question would be, Lori, is if you're comfortable with permanent part-time, they have to be having benefits, is that right?
That's not my list.
Can you hear that?
That's not my line.
I'm sorry, now I can't hear you. Hold on.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Another round.
So the reason the board went, or maybe it's the board, are you representing the board right now? So the reason you want a full-time position is strictly just for the benefits?
Yes, mainly that because, I mean, if she's had them this long, it's not fair to take them away from her. I mean, and then, okay, so we take away her benefits, and what happens when she said, well, I can go somewhere else and get benefits?
Yeah. Well,
We don't wanna lose her.
I don't
We would
disagree,
like
and that's
to-
why I'm asking, like,
Yeah.
if the permanent part-time position is still a thing, and we just gotta work with the benefits.
Right.
Is that something we're good with?
No.
I think.
No? Okay.
I will tell you this, all, besides Tim and yourself, all the rest of our employees are full-time employees. And if they do not, for example, I'll use Luke for an example. If he only puts in 38 hours a week because he wants to go to one of his girls' softball games or something, or a track meet, then it's automatically takes from his PTO to give him the 40 hours. So for your example, if you work at 29 hours a week, if we put you on full-time and you go back to 29 hours a week, I believe currently you have about 9.5 months of PTO that would add up to that 40 hours as a full-time employee. Then you would be out of PTO hours, then you would be working and earning 8 hours of PTO pay period, which would automatically go towards your paycheck. Because we cannot say, you're not following me?
I don't know if anybody is.
I am.
Okay.
You get 3 on your PTO, but you still show us 40 work.
We're getting a 40
Yeah, you
hours.
still show us 40 work.
You
You're
would
not
be
a slouch. But it still shows, you're still a full-time employee. You're still a full-time employee.
What you would be getting, the way it works for our full-time people, is they must have 40 hours on their paycheck. Now, if they only work 38 hours, they automatically are, 2 hours of the PTO is taken to fill in that 40 hours. If you were to go, you have approximately, I think, around 305 PTO hours in the bank right now. If you work, the calculations I did was on 28 hours. So if you do 28 hours a week as a full-time employee,
But it wouldn't be full-time. There's only 20
if you want
hours.
full-time benefits, that's what it should be, because there's no reason why.
Yes, but you're based on 28 because that's all you've been working for. The average is 29. So you haven't hit that 30 mark because you didn't use it. You have to use PTO to fill in that 30.
But they're not calculating PTO right now.
Right.
If they calculated PTO, it should be about 30.
Right.
We could get off that. I mean, I don't think we're gonna solve anything on that. I think there's valid concerns there in the way the language is written.
Can I interject just for a
Go ahead,
second?
Bob.
I've been doing this for 32 years and I've come up with a lot of scenarios. And the reason you have employees do the 40 hours and instead of that 40 hours, I had a guy one time that did side work and he didn't want to use his PTO. He just wanted to take off without pay because he was going to be making some money somewhere else and he wanted to save his PTO so he could go on his vacations and do stuff. Well, we're still paying all your full-time benefits. We're paying insurance, we're paying the short-term disability, everything that goes with it. And it costs the city a lot of money for that, or whoever you're working for. So that's why you get the PTO, and the city of Utan's PTO policy is very liberal, from where I've been. So there's plenty of PTO being handed out. And another thing that I can about the long-term and short-term disability, that's based on your average wage, not how many hours you work. And you usually get 66% of what you earn for those.
So that's
It's
a,
60% here in the handbook, I think it's.
It could be 60, it depends on what the policy set up, they can set different ways.
okay.
So with my example, what I'm saying is that you have approximately 305. And I'm going to just use 28 hours because that's what I did my calculations of. With the bank of PTO hours you have and with the PTO hours you would earn at 28 hours a week, okay? Your PTO hours would last approximately 10 months. And then you would be completely out of PTO, except for the amount you earn per pay period, which on a full-time basis would be 8 hours. So unless you worked 32 hours a week, you wouldn't be at the 40 hours. Does that make any sense?
What are we basing
I don't
full-time
know.
on, like hour-wise? Are we going 40 now or are we going 30?
I'm saying that according to the handbook, anything less than 30 and appointed
Okay,
by the council.
I think if we make this motion to approve,
If you go by part-time, there's a difference now. If you go by part-time, there is no hour limit.
and that's the point I'm trying to make, is if we do make this motion to make it full-time, I feel like there needs to be a set hour that you would work, right? I mean, that's gonna be the only way to calculate it, that's Am I wrong in thinking that? I mean,
Well, I think part of it we're getting hung up on, and I don't know if this is happening or not, but if, to me, it's let's just say it's 30, okay? If it stays at 30, what's in the handbook is 30. So you're scheduled all the time for 30 hours in. Now, it's not your schedule for 29 and you're taking an hour of PTO every time so you can get those benefits. It would be the exception, right? It would be, okay, you're taking your time off when you're sick, then that means you're just getting it, whether, with the hours worked and all that. Where I'm seeing a little bit of a discrepancy too, and I think where there's some of the struggle is, if you're full-time right now, if you're full-time at 30 hours, you get the same PTO as somebody that's putting in 40 more hours a month. And to me, that's not equity for those folks that are putting in an extra 40.
And we agree with that.
Yeah, 40 hours a month. And so regardless of how we do it, if we're saying, if we're saying a full-time, let's say we change it, we say full-time you have to be 40, permanent part-time, you get prorated benefits, and it's at 30 hours, then that's fine. But if we leave it kind of how it is now at the 30 hours, but she's really full-time according to the that's what's throwing me. Then we should be saying overall that it's prorated based on your normal schedule, not like hours worked and all that, but if you're 40, you get full. If you're at 30, you get 3/4. If you're at 20, you get half. And so I think that's where one of the distinctions is like, well, as long as I'm at 30 and that's considered full-time in there, I'm getting the same thing as everybody else that's putting in 10 extra hours every week, and that's probably not. And you are fine with permanent part-time and prorated, or you're not fine?
I'm fine with prorated,
Okay.
because that's what we pay.
That kind of contradicts what you've been asking for, though.
I'm sorry?
To me, that contradicts what you've been asking for, because that's exactly what I brought to you in saying that your benefits are gonna be prorated.
But I'm not permanent part-time, that's what I'm trying to
I
explain
do-
that to you guys.
So Lori, I do think after you shared that letter, I think there was confusion and it was never rectified because it was just those two positions. I don't know if it's in anywhere that says library director is full-time at I guess if you're doing you're doing the 30 years. That letter though said those two positions added up. So and then once you stop doing this position, and I don't know when the 30 and the I don't know how long we'd have to go back. I don't know how long the 30 versus 30 above and 30 under have been in there.
Yeah.
It's just, this is kind of just opened up all the stuff that we have to, and again, to me, if our goal is, and I tried to look up, because I had no idea how long a library, is open. Wahoo, on average, Wahoo's open 55 hours a week right now. Ceresco, only 20 hours a week right now. Valley, 47. So I just looked that up quick before I changed it, just to see where we're at. Do we need more hours? Do we need less hours? But let's just say we're happy with 40 hours a week total, and you're happy at, let's just say we re-up the handbook and it's 40 hours is full-time, like in most places, that's what full-time really is 40 hours a week.
That's changed a lot though. My daughter who's younger, she doesn't get 40 hours. She works for the county. She gets 35 a week and she's full-time with benefits. So that's a big difference from what it used to be.
32.
Yeah.
and that's what I always thought it was, just 32
32
was full-time.
because they're full-time.
Isn't that our
I would make
IRS?
a recommendation that we highly something pick a hand
Okay.
first.
Let me just state this. I know, Aaron, you said that we're not state, but we are city, we are government. In the state of Nebraska and their employees, they're they're full-time employees. This is how it reads. This is, if you want to write this down and check me out, you're more than welcome to. This is state statute 81-1320. And this is for permanent state employees sick leave schedule. In the state employees vacation time schedule is also, it reads the same. And I can give you that state statute too. It says,
They're online, it's okay.
Hmm?
They're online, it's okay. I can
Okay. But it says during the 19th, but it gives a breakdown of how many hours are earned, just like our handbook says during each year how many PTO hours you earn. then it says, provided that employees who are regularly employed less than 40 hours a week shall be entitled to sick leave proportionate to their regular work week. So that's just saying if you put in, even as a full-time employee, if you put in 30 hours, your sick leave or your vacation time will be prorated to the number of hours put
Can you
in.
read one more time? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
Says, provided that the employees who are regularly employed less than 40 hours a week shall be entitled to sick leave proportionate to their regular work week.
They're not full-time employees.
And what I'm saying is Lori wants to go to a full-time employee, and that's basically, if they don't have fill in their 40 hours, then we would probably go to something like this. And we haven't yet, and it's a discussion for the council,
But something to think about, if Lori and Tim quit, you've gotta have benefits to replace them, or you're not gonna find anybody.
I'm not.
Can't find anybody part-time the way it is.
And I'm not saying that we aren't taking away benefits. The only thing that really, the only thing that really was taken away, and it hasn't been taken away yet, according to the handbook, would have been the life insurance. Because that completely says full-time. The benefits that, if you're talking about prorating the benefits and those being taken away.
I'm not taking.
Okay, what benefits are you talking about? Because I never.
Life insurance,
The life insurance, right?
education reimbursement.
I never spoke to that.
Yes, you did.
No,
Yes, the second time you came over to the
you had an
library.
agreement with Cole, correct?
No, CJ and you.
I'm sorry, CJ.
CJ and you.
That
And
you would
you
be
guys-
and Cole, or CJ, I'm sorry. CJ said that you would be reimbursed up to $600, correct? Which is the IRS limit.
He didn't give me he told me there was a cap and I
He
didn't know
said
what
the
it was.
IRS limit is what he would reimburse you to.
Yes.
And I never once said that would be taken away from you.
Yes,
I never
you
once-
did.
No, I did not.
Mike, the second time you
You
came
wanna bring up that
over.
recording, we can talk
Okay,
about it.
so from when I read it earlier today,
That's not
it does right
true.
now in the handbook, it says for both life insurance and for education, you need to be a full-time employee. So again, I don't know what we wanna do on this tonight. Obviously, we need to revisit the handbook. And so right now, if we leave her at permanent if we have her at permanent part-time, which you're working at 30, then she is considered, I guess, full-time, right?
Yes.
I mean, according to how it is now, unless we wanna say, leave things as is, we're going to take 60 days to review all of this and come up with because normally we don't do this until like July, August when we're budgeting, that's when we revisit this. But maybe because of this, we don't wanna wait that long, we wanna leave it as it is, review this, and then because that's the direction I'm going, is full-time is 40 hours, permanent part-time.
Okay, but we need to talk about what's going on now, not what's gonna happen, you know.
That's what I'm proposing,
That's what she
is
just
to leave it as is, right, like what you're getting right now, you're gonna continue until we review.
I think this is a question that she's asking. And I don't believe I ever said anything about tuition reimbursement. I'm not gonna argue the point right now.
I don't want to either.
If you wanna bring up a video that we can see it, then.
We can't, there's no sound.
Let's move on.
Anyway, I lost my train of thought now. The question, what she's asking is, where do you wanna leave it at? Do you wanna leave that with what we did this last paycheck by prorating her,
For permanent part-time.
prorating her vacation pay and her PTO allotment?
No, I just wanna know if I'm full-time or permanent or part-time. That's all I wanna
And
know.
I guess my thought is, Lori, right now, let's just say we wait until August to do this. And we say, yep, according to the handbook right now, you're full-time at the 30 hours. Well, then in the fall, when we say now full-time, like I don't wanna have to keep switching you. You know, if we say, no, now it's 40 hours, I mean, I don't know what everybody's happy with, to say, do we wanna revisit this and what she was getting before that last paycheck? We're leaving it as is until we reconcile,
I mean, that's 6 months away,
Right.
you know?
No, I'm saying we could do it
Didn't
over
you
the next
say you
60
found
days, like,
minutes
we
that
could be working on it
appointed
and do
her
it
as
ahead.
permanent part-time? Didn't
ahead.
you say you found minutes that appointed her as permanent part-time?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so right now she's permanent part-time.
Permanent
So
part-time.
she's permanent part-time, so
Because the
everything should
council
be
hasn't,
prorated.
right, and that's because the council hasn't, it has to come back to the council, and that's what
Thanks,
I
Jeff.
think we're doing tonight, whether they wanna make her full-time or permanent part-time. I'm just going by what